G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. Let's go. My husband's browser history shattered my heart. I will try to make this as short as possible. It's a lot to unpack, but there is some backstory that's important. We've been married for 9 years and have 2 little kids. Our relationship has had its ups and downs throughout the years, but nothing terrible or that we couldn't pull through, mostly pure exhaustion from hard pregnancies, disconnection, and lack of sex because of said difficult pregnancies, and a super difficult infant who didn't sleep for 2 years, bankruptcy, a job that he hated. Yeah, it's been a little bit tough. But we're each other's person, you know? Like, I love this man to the ends of the earth. So when I tell you what I saw in his browser history not only shattered my heart, but I could literally feel pieces of my soul dying. So here we go. About a year ago, my husband and I had a huge heart-to-heart talk about reconnecting and wanting to get back to a new normal after kids. So we really started making us a priority, rebuilding our relationship, and sharing our most intimate feelings. My husband opened up to me about his desire to give a man oral. That he isn't attracted to men, but he's attracted to male genitals. Now, I have no problem with this. In fact, I felt this overwhelming sense of attraction to him in that moment. I loved how vulnerable and honest he felt like he could be with me. It was special. So we talked more and more about what that situation would look like, etc. We both agreed on our boundaries, and our number one rule, no matter what, is to always do anything sexual together. So we found a safe avenue to meet like-minded couples. We had one experience and it was great, but it was uncontrollably cut short. So we've opened our minds to the possibility of trying to find a male friend. In the meantime, husband gets a new job and is starting to travel. Fast forward 3 months after our last and only experience, and husband gets the news that he'll be traveling to Europe for 10 days. The weeks leading up to this trip, he was so distracted with what I thought was travel plans, bookings, and ordering things that he needed for his trip. I give him grace because he has never been to Europe, and I know that he's excited. Fast forward to the night before he leaves. We're laying in bed, cuddling, about to love on each other, and out of the blue he asks me, if I met a man in Europe, would you be okay with me doing stuff with him? My heart sank to my stomach. My throat closed up, and all I could squeak out was, "No!" I could tell that he was disappointed in my response, and he said, "I don't want you to worry. I just needed to ask, and now I know." I couldn't talk. I just cried myself to sleep. He woke up before me that morning and sent a long, apologizing text to me to read when I woke up, telling me not to worry. I said no, and that is that. I just found this whole situation so odd and so random. Like, what? And then he asks me the night before he leaves? So I tell him that I'm super uncomfortable and I'm worried because he's leaving for 10 days and we can't unpack this together the way we need to. He literally leaves like 2 hours later. Every single internal alarm is going off. Red flags are waving in the wind, and I looked at his browser history, and it broke my spirit. According to his history, 2 days after he found out he would be traveling, he created a sex dating profile for this particular area. Then he deleted his profile the morning after he asked me the question, then reactivated the account the moment he got to the airport. His profile read, seeking couples or a single male to show him around, have a few drinks, and if things go well, maybe some guy-on-guy playtime. Heart shattered. Then I see that he has spent hours researching happy ending massages, sex clubs, BDSM clubs, glory holes, and escorts. All female escorts. He researched pricing and location proximity to his hotel room. As far as I'm able to tell, nothing happened with anyone from the sex site, but it wasn't because of his lack of effort. He was trying really hard. But I have very little confidence in saying that I doubt something happened. Whether it was a strip club, which he can go but it has to be with me, one of our rules, or a sex club, or a happy ending massage, I've looked at our finances, and if anything did happen, he paid cash or has a card that I don't know about. So I'm just here, staring at our little kids, heartbroken, and hiding it from the world. I don't want our marriage to end, but I feel like this is going to be a very painful process, and I just want to be the best mum to our kids, and doing that while mending a broken heart is just the hardest thing that I've tried to do. I don't know how to tell him that I know. I also know now that he researches these things everywhere he travels and is most likely visiting a strip club twice a month when he's gone. I'll never understand hurting someone you love, even if you think they won't find out. In the comments, I can feel the sadness pouring from this post. I'm so sorry that you had to go through this and that he left you so unsure right before he had to travel. It is an insane disrespect towards you and a break of your trust, and you should most definitely tell him that you know. You fought for your marriage. You gave him space to be vulnerable with you. You fulfilled his fantasy and was more than okay with it. And he repaid you with disrespect and lies. That's not someone who deserves you. He needs to know that you know, and I'm afraid that it might be the end. Unless you plan to stay in a marriage where your husband cheats on you and continually wants to be with other people, then you need to leave this marriage and co-parent. He might not have got with someone on that website, but he probably went to one of the in-person places and cheated. Exactly this. It's not what the husband wants. He will find a way to do it with or without your approval. Do yourself a favor and run. He'll be happy off doing his thing, and you'll find someone who wants the same thing in a relationship as you do, and you will look back and think, thank God I left. Even if he didn't physically cheat, he proved that he's morally and emotionally capable of doing so. Whether or not the physical expression of that act is there, the emotional intent in breach of trust is very much there. I caught my former partner attempting to cheat. He was soliciting and getting rejected. I know he didn't do the actual deed, but the sheer fact that he would have, if given the opportunity, broke my heart. It wasn't any different than if he had done it. He broke my trust and took the security blanket that I had right from under me. And OP says, yes, this. I am so sorry that happened to you. I feel like my world has been flipped upside down. So sorry. That's horrible. I guess you know the real person you married now. Best of luck in what you decide. You know that he definitely looked into this and has broken your boundaries. I'm not sure there's a way to get back on track again knowing what he really wants. OP replies, hours worth of time was spent viewing every profile on that sex dating site, every strip club, sex club, swinger club, gay bar, burlesque shows, every escort site, every escort that's his type. After putting the times together, most of it was done while he was either in bed next to me, while I was sleeping, or any moment he had to go to the bathroom at home, and all day long at work. I just feel so ill. And now, onto the update. About 2 days after my post, I had a dream that I had a heart attack because of all this stress, and I decided that enough was enough. I hugged him that morning and told him that we needed to talk about something tonight after the kids were in bed. So he had to think about it all day, and I had more time to prepare my words. Around 8 p.m. when the house was silent, I asked if he had anything that he wanted to tell me, and that this was his one and only chance to come clean to me about anything he had done that would hurt me. He confessed to going to a strip club in the town he has to travel to often, not Europe. I just looked at him and said, keep going. He kinda stumbled with words and looked confused and slightly panicked, so I said, here, let me just hand you my phone. I handed him my phone, and on the screen I had pulled up my Reddit post. I said it's probably better for you to read it because I don't know if I can get the words out properly. He read everything and some of the comments. He immediately apologized for everything. He said he visited one strip club and one sex club while in Europe. He said he walked in, got grossed out, and walked out of the sex club, but stayed at the strip club for a few drinks. I just let him talk, and I cried and cried, hoping that I could get it all out so I would be able to utter the words, I don't believe you. Those words came out of my mouth at a volume and intensity that I don't know that I've ever felt before. I don't believe you! Came barreling through the tears, and then the anger hit. For the first time in our relationship, I don't believe you. That sentence took both of our breaths away. I could see the feeling of failure and remorse on his face. I asked, why? Like I need an effing answer as to why you felt the need or desire to do this. Even though I do believe he didn't actually physically do anything with anyone, he reassured me 100 times. Am I dumb for believing that? Maybe, but my gut has been pretty spot on, so I'm following it on this. He told me, just like a lot of you have said, that the app, the research of escorts, was just another, more real feeling, porn. That he absolutely could have done things with people there, but he never ever had a plan to go through with anything. Because I said no to his request about hooking up with someone in Europe if he met the right person. He said he just looked and masturbated to the thought of knowing that he basically could buy a good time anywhere he wanted with these people, and that it's legal. I wanted to punch him, but I didn't. As I balled my fists, I screamed, "Grow up! You're a husband, a father, a son, a brother. You have a life so many people can't even dream about. You have a wife right in front of you, willing to go above and beyond for this relationship and your sexual curiosities, and what do? Focus all of your time and energy on strangers on the internet, shatter my trust for you, blasted through a boundary that was set about solo visits to strip clubs because you felt like that was the lesser of the evils, and you've put so much time and effort into this research, you might as well reward yourself for not hooking up with the escorts in Europe." He really didn't have much to say as I paused for a breath, other than, "You're right. I've been awful and I don't know what to say to make you believe that I wouldn't harm our family. I wouldn't harm your health by being with any of those people I researched. I hope that you know that I know how lucky I am, and I don't know why I can't control myself." I told him that I absolutely believe that he has a porn addiction that has now turned extremely dangerous for us as a couple and family. He agreed. Without defense, he agreed to everything I said. We are going to start counseling together, and singularly. There is so much more to say, but I'm tired. This has been so taxing, and I'm just getting through it. I know I'm going to get into so much hell for staying with him. I've made it perfectly clear that this is it. My words to him were, if he messes up, the kids and I are out. I told him that I had to sit down and imagine a completely new life with the kids. I've had to endure that heartache of imagining our lives moving on without him. I have already calloused my heart to the thought, which should scare the hell out of you. But also know this, I will not go down silently. This is your chance to be a better man right here, right now. He has been amazing to us since then. He has owned up to his word and kept his promises so far. He has been communicating with me about so many things. He has decreased his porn habits by probably 90%. He is dating me again and playing with the kids more. I feel like I'm seeing the person that I married again, but I'm also so scared that when this honeymoon phase ends, what's next? Ugh. People, just don't hurt your person. Make life beautiful and just love them with all you've got. In the comments, the trust is already broken and he violated a boundary that he now knows you won't actually hold firm on. He told you that he wanted something that you could never give him. It's only a matter of time before he wants that itch scratched again. All you've done is point out where he screwed up covering his tracks, so when he tries to step out again, he'll know how to keep it from you. Is it really worth fighting for? You can find another man who doesn't have a porn addiction, doesn't lie or cheat. I think you need to start planning what you need to do when this all stops again. I'm not saying divorce now, although I would have. Look into your options. Find numbers for lawyers, get evidence, find relatives, etc. that you can be with. You need to put you and the kids first because he is definitely intent on putting his needs over all of yours. One thing super stuck out. He said he doesn't know why he can't control himself. That is pure gaslighting and a load of crap. That is him building in an excuse. Before you get cozy again, I strongly suggest you demand in writing a full confession. Demand it includes why he did it and that he not try to hide behind any addiction or I don't know answers. You need a clear written explanation for his lack of morals and why he believes he can actually change. I also hope you are demanding counseling, for him mainly, but also for you as a couple. I also hope you now have 100% access to all electronics and accounts, etc. Our next post is titled, "My ex divorced me and now wants to be together again after 4 years." Throwaway, since I don't want to be linked back to my main account. I'm 46 female and my ex-husband is 45. We were college sweethearts and married at 26. Right before we got married, I gave birth to a beautiful daughter who is now 21 years old. I loved both of them dearly, and we've been a happy family for about 16 years before everything went down. Our only problem was my ex's mother. She always had a strong dislike for me. She never thought that I was good enough for her baby boy. We had many fights, and my ex cut contact with her after the wedding when she tried wearing white to it. We had many encounters with her years after that, sending us gifts for my daughter and purposely trying to get us to contact her again to seeing her outside our house. 4 years ago, I got home from work to see my ex and his mother together on the couch. My ex was on the verge of tears, yelling, and calling me a cheater. I tried to explain that I didn't, but his mother supposedly had proof, saying she saw me with another man out in a restaurant together. I am very faithful and loyal, but he refused to hear me out. We got into a big argument before he packed up and left to stay with his mother. When my daughter got home from a friend's house, she too started to blame me when she found out from her dad. She went to live with her dad while he sent out divorce papers. It took about a year before it was finalized. He got custody of her, and I was granted visitation rights, but she never wanted to see me. It took a long time to move on. I sought therapy and fell into a huge depression. I knew my ex's mother made it up to tear us apart. I can't believe he listened to her so carelessly. I don't blame my daughter, but it still hurts. I moved out of the house to allow my ex and my daughter to live there. I ended up moving to a small apartment, and it's been 4 years, and I started to finally be happy again. I made new friends. We had so much fun, and I got a promotion at work. I still missed my family, my daughter, but I couldn't do anything about it. Then 2 days ago, my daughter called me. It's been 4 years since I've last seen or heard from her. She said that my ex's mother admitted to lying. She said that my ex got a new girlfriend and his mother was furious, claiming he shouldn't have one after all the trouble she did to get rid of me. They got into a heated fight before he kicked his mum out. I nearly wanted to cry. I thought she would never admit to it, and now I'm hearing my daughter. She asked to meet up and apologized so many times, and I told her that we could meet tomorrow. Yesterday, I met her at a restaurant, but she brought along my ex. Something that she never mentioned, nor have I agreed upon. He was apologizing, saying how much he missed me, and that he dumped his girlfriend. He wanted us to be together again. I excused myself and left them there. I got back home to lots of phone calls from my daughter and text messages from her. She wanted us to talk, and she called me a butthole for leaving. I told her that I wasn't comfortable and that she needed to understand. I had to mute my phone and put it down for a bit. I haven't responded yet, and I'm not sure what to do. I love her, but I can't talk to her with him there. Not yet, anyways. It feels so fast. I wanted to do it one-on-one. I am deeply hurt and crying as I'm typing this, and I don't know what to do. In the comments, I think it's worth noting that they still aren't believing you. They're only believing what dear old grandma had to say. It took her coming clean to clear your name when it was her word against yours to begin with. So it's not that they are believing you now, it is that they are still believing anything that she says and they are not listening to you. Especially your daughter with her ambush tactics with your ex. I'm not saying never make peace with them, but I think that it's entirely reasonable to never get back together with your ex and to have a cautious relationship with your daughter, doubly so now that she has stabbed you twice. Once with believing the dog, and once with this ambush dinner behavior. Dog as in dear old grandma, obviously. In a comment, OP mentions that apparently mother-in-law paid someone to confess to being the affair partner. Not that this changes much, but it's a bit of an upgrade from he said, she said. Okay, that is an upgrade, but I'd still want to know how they met and knew each other, etc., etc., especially knowing Dog is the sort to show up at her son's wedding in white. I mean, tell me you want to screw the groom without telling me you want to screw the groom, why don't you? I'd want 3 forms of ID, goddammit. Lol? Why are they acting as if they are doing you a favor or forgiving you for something that you didn't do and are like, cool, let's go back together? Like, are they serious? The daughter calling her mother a butthole for leaving while she didn't even contact her for 4 years or even try to hear her out baffles me, like, WTF, mate. And also brought along the man who divorced her without mentioning it? Did she think that it wouldn't be upsetting? In what context would you go to a private meeting and not tell the person that you were bringing someone with you? She must think that life is like a Disney movie. Oh yes, Mummy and Daddy will get back together now that the evil witch has been exposed, rather than thinking Dad really effed up by believing his mother, who had a track record of hating OP, and he effed up by having me believe the lie. Of course, I effed up too by never wanting to see my mother until now. Both ex and daughter suck for what they let happen to the OP and what they did themselves to OP. If OP's life is happy and content, she shouldn't invite these unkind people back into her life. Back up to the post, we have an edit. I did not expect this post to start blowing up. I appreciate the love and support, however, I didn't make it clear about my daughter's custody. Her opinion mattered in the court since she was 17 during the divorce. Although the divorce was about me allegedly cheating, my ex and I agreed to keep that part from the actual divorcing process, split what we needed to split, and let our daughter choose who she wants to be with. She wanted to live with her dad, and I agreed. She was strongly adamant about not seeing me, so I allowed my ex to have full custody, leaving me with visitations. Not only that, I needed to find an apartment. I had to move out of the house. I was living off couch to couch at my relatives' homes, I didn't have space for her, and my ex mentioned it in court. It was the main reason why she was granted to stay with her father. I was under stress, and I was not mentally well. I signed off my rights. I looked like a mess in court too. There was also a lot more going on during the time. And now onto the update. Hi, within the past 2 days, a lot of stuff came out, and I'm beat. First of all, thank you for the support and the advice. There were so many, but I decided to follow the ones that I thought fit best for me and my daughter. In the last post, I mentioned in the comments about an update. 2 days ago, I texted my daughter to set some boundaries after the ambush attack at the restaurant. As we were talking, she mentioned new information about my ex and why he chose his mother's side over me. Earlier that morning, his mother confessed that she had paid an ex-friend of ours to lie directly in my ex-husband's face, claiming to be my affair partner. Mind you, I never had cheated in the first place. My ex took that as solid evidence and divorced me because of it. His mother is a master manipulator and had him around her finger throughout his childhood, so I'm not surprised why he would take her side. He didn't know that the confession was fake until a few days ago. I wasn't even aware of the entire thing for 4 years. No one had brought it up to me. My daughter gave me the silent treatment. My ex's mother obviously wouldn't tell a thing to me and probably told my ex-husband to keep quiet and to only focus on the divorce. I'm still really saddened, but everything makes sense. I was so mad at him for leaving me over her word, but it was so much more than that. Besides that, I decided to give my daughter another chance. She will not know where I live or any personal information to indicate where I am. I'm keeping low contact on her. I don't want her spreading it to her father or other people. I'll only show up during important events, graduations, weddings, etc. I know my ex-husband will also attend. If that's the case, then so be it. I requested my daughter to put her father on the phone, and he of course apologized so many times and hoped that we could have another chance as well. He said he'd do anything to make it up to me and that he loves me. I said no. I explained that I was keeping him no contact and that I was heartbroken when he didn't communicate to me about the cheating allegations and only assumed. That I was practically homeless for a short time and needed to see a therapist to help move on. That I wanted to be left alone and am currently not interested in another relationship. And then I gave him a new email in case of emergencies directly involving our daughter. Anything else I will discard. That was the only time I spoke to him in the past 2 days. I've been talking to my daughter, setting boundaries and whatnot. She gave small updates about what was going on with her side. They went no contact with my ex's mother, so that's good. I told her never to contact that woman again. She also apologized about her behavior at the restaurant and that it won't happen again. I understand that emotions were running high and everyone was tensed, so I forgave her. I still really love her, and I know that mistakes can happen. Now, a lot of you said to sue my ex's mother. I spoke to my therapist about it earlier today. She said that it wasn't wise to do so. It'll just put more emotional distress on me and that I might have to see her again and may relapse into a depressive state. I really don't want that. I don't want anything to do with that woman again. All I want to do is focus on myself and on my daughter. I want to rebuild our relationship, and it will be ruined if I do something drastic, as in suing my ex's mother. I won't be pressing charges unless something else happens to the point where police are involved. That would be different. Other than that, I'm taking a break. My daughter can text me anytime she wants, but I did say that I may not always reply since I want to remain low contact as of now. Thank you so much for the support and love. I can't express how grateful I am. I'm sorry I haven't replied to any of the comments. There was so much, and it was very overwhelming. This may be my last ever post on this account, unless something happens in the near future. You guys are amazing. Thank you. In the comments, best of luck to you, OP. I currently can't think of a word to describe how obnoxiously terrible what your ex's mum did to you was, followed by what your ex's and daughter did to you after that. Just know that I think that you are amazingly strong. Your ex's mother-in-law's bad karma is coming back around, and hopefully she'll get what she deserves, even without you suing her. I truly hope that you continue to improve your mental health and live happily ever after. OP replies, I originally wasn't going to say anything, but I would now like to mention that my daughter texted me saying she found my original post through TikTok. I have a feeling that she won't be turning against me a second time, lol. She despises her gran-gran. I am very sorry for all that you've been through. You are handling this extremely well and setting boundaries to protect yourself. I just have to say, I wonder how this ex-friend lives with himself knowing he played such a huge role in ending your marriage. OP says, he's a drug addict. I'm 100% sure he took the opportunity to buy more drugs. It was the reason why we dropped him, since he would beg us for money along with other junkie friends that he had. He wasn't even that nice either. He was kind of rude. I honestly hope he's miserable. It's so sad that your ex knows how manipulative his mother is, and how this so-called friend was such an addict that you both dropped him, but he still chose to believe them. I'm glad that you found some peace and middle ground with your daughter. I hope you continue to rebuild your relationship. As for your ex and his mom, they can rot. This is why the ex-husband is not a victim. He could have gotten to the truth if he had spoken with his wife. Weren't they married for a really long time too? Insanity. Good on OP for surviving with grace. I fully support some awful-smelling retribution to the evil ex-mother-in-law. And now, onto the daughter's response. My mum posted about her divorce with dad because of his mum. I'm their daughter. My mum recently made 2 posts about our family under the title, My ex divorced me and now he wants to be together again after 4 years. I'm their 21-year-old daughter, and I'm going to explain my side of things. Yes, I have been given permission from my mum to post this. There were a lot of things that she neglected to say on her part. This is how I interpreted what happened on my side, since y'all are quick to blame. 5 years ago when I was 16, my dad called me. He said he was at his mum's house and that I needed to pack my things so he could pick me up. He told me that my mum had cheated on him and now he was going to divorce her. So I did exactly as I was told. I was really mad at mum for doing such a thing. I thought that they were inseparable. I was surprised. I thought they loved each other, and when mum was accused of cheating, I resented her. I yelled at her. I called her really hurtful things that I regret saying. I left to stay with dad. The entire time I refused to talk to mum during the divorce. I really hated her. I truly did. During the time, I was with my dad and grandma. I met her a couple of times, and my mum openly hated on her. I didn't know why. She seemed sweet and supportive, helping my dad get through. She bought me presents and let me live under her roof. She was a stereotypical loving grandma. Mum ended up moving out so we can have the place back. In court, I favored my dad's side and it was approved. I refused to contact my mum. It was like she didn't even try to fight to be with me. I was still really angry at her. Dad was crying on some days. He was really stressed and saddened. She did too, but I thought it was the guilt of being caught and now having nowhere to go and being divorced as a consequence. There was a few times where I wanted to call her, shout at her, hate her, but I didn't. For the next 4 years, it was me, dad, and grandma who occasionally visited. She showered me with gifts, always expressing how she finally got to meet her grandbaby. She spoiled me. Dad was still sad for like 3-ish years before meeting another woman, and they started dating. That's when everything turned upside down. Him and Grandma would start getting into fights about the new girlfriend. She would threaten to harm him and call him a pathetic excuse as a son. She knocked stuff over and constantly broke things when she didn't get what she wanted. She even threatened to hurt me sometimes and steal things away from me. Dad hardly ever brought his girlfriend over because of her. Grandma kept visiting almost daily. She was super obsessed over Dad and the new girl. Now repeat that for 5 months straight until she finally snapped. Another fight, and then she confessed. I was in the other room when she screamed about how she did everything to get Mum away from him so she could have him all to herself, and now the new girlfriend is stealing him away. That's when I decided to call Mum to tell her what happened. I was scared. The next day we agreed to meet at a restaurant. I told Dad about it afterwards, and he insisted on coming with me. I wasn't sure at first, but he convinced me to let him come. He was desperate and even broke up with his girlfriend over the phone. So I brought him with. I didn't tell Mum, and when she came and saw us, she was uncomfortable and left after Dad was practically begging on his knees. I ended up calling her a butthole. I was stressed and overwhelmed. I blurted out something that I didn't mean. I get why she left. There was no excuse for my behavior. I started spam calling her and texting her constantly, trying to get a response from her. Some messages weren't nice. I was not thinking properly, Dad was bawling and started saying some depressing thoughts about how he hated himself and that he wished that he was dead. I panicked, like, what am I supposed to do? The next morning, Grandma came to the house while Mum was sending me long-ass paragraphs about wanting to have a relationship again, but needing boundaries. The two were arguing downstairs until Grandma admitted to fabricating the affair confession. She paid someone $500 to tell Dad that his wife was cheating on her with him. So obviously, I texted Mum about it while Dad kicked her out, screaming that he never wanted to see her again and that it was all her fault. For the next day and a half or so, Mum and I communicated with each other. I apologized to her about my recent behavior. It was super uncalled for, and I do really regret saying those things. At one point, I gave my phone to Dad so the two can talk privately with each other. Mum wants to keep low contact, which I agreed to. Dad was upset that she wouldn't take him back. I learned that Mum is seeing a therapist, and I went to see her earlier today. I haven't seen Grandma after Dad kicked her out. He's been saying that she's been trying to call and text him like every hour, and yes, I'm still living with Dad. I'm in community college. It's only a half hour away, so I stay home. I came across Mum's Reddit post on TikTok like 3 times. There are some comments about me that I'm really upset about. Do y'all not understand abuse victims like JFC? I had to put up with my dad's constant depressing behavior and my grandma's gaslighting, love-bombing tactics, etc., and I'm happy to be in contact with my mum. I never contacted her before because my grandma said negative things about her. I thought Mum was the controlling one. She wasn't at all. I regret my choices, and I'm willing to fix them, and she is willing to give me a chance. You don't know our family, so stop acting like you do. In the comments, I'm sorry, but you should have known better than to bring your father near your mother. There is a post about the OP whose brother ruined his life and his marriage because he was obsessed with his wife. He took down OP in front of his now ex-wife, his 4 daughters, and his parents. They never wanted his side of the story. After 6 years, when the brother got everything OP had, including his ex-wife, the truth came out. Unfortunately, the damage has already been done. All OP can do now is rebuild his relationship with his daughters. Not his brother, he is now ostracized, not his parents and the rest of the family. If you want redemption, then stop making yourself out as the victim and be there for your mother. Your father has to live with his misjudgment for the rest of his life, but that is not on you. Give your mother the respect that you never gave. And, now that you know how unhinged your grandmother is, stay away from her. God forbid you settle down and she tries to steal your child away from you. Your grandmother had both her son and you, which is why your mother didn't put up much of a fight. She paid someone to ruin her life, and she succeeded. Grow up and look at the situation for what it is, and remain vigilant so the same thing doesn't happen to you. I'll be honest, I don't understand how you could hold on to all this hatred for years and never once think that you should hear what your mum had to say or that there could be something more to the story. I'm glad you and your mum are working towards reconciliation. This is why I'm trying to raise my kids to be critical thinkers. I have a 16-year-old now, and it's scary to think how easily she could just turn her back on me. I don't understand that. One hallmark of being a teen is black and white thinking. It's harder for teens to see things in shades of grey than for mature adults. I certainly remember thinking a lot of, "I'd never," or "I'll always be sure to," as a teen. Lol, Tink proposes, God disposes. Add to that the apparent certainty of said cheating after all. It's awfully rare for an affair partner confessing to actually being a paid actor. Good gravy, her dad's utter heartbreak and the influence of her manipulative grandmother, and it's not that surprising. I bet the thought of contacting her mother would actually start to feel disloyal. After all, her grandmother is eyeball deep in emotional incest and a totally messed up view of the world. So it would be her instinct to subtly promote a similar view in her granddaughter that contacting her mother would be cheating on her dad all over again. I really feel for OP and her mum and dad. And that's where I'm going to end today's stories, guys. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!